So according to Jemele Hill, the Latino voters, y'all, who knew? They are now the problem. I guess that bowl of stir-fried foolishness marinated in dumb, known as Jasmine Crockett, didn't sell too well with the Hispanics. Now, did it? Yeah, I could have told y'all that. I don't know what y'all was thinking. I could have told y'all that wasn't gonna work. Listen, Latinos already have lived under socialism. They know all about the oppression and the subjugation of a socialistic regime. They lived it and escaped it, and they don't want to vote themselves right back into it. Like, that's called fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. But according to Jemele Hill, the Latino voters are easy targets for misinformation. Let me interpret. In other words, what she's saying is y'all too dumb to vote the way the Democrats want you to vote. And when she said that, I said, she done messed up now. She done messed up now. Because now the Latinos have come out across the internet. And they're like, first of all, who you think you talking to? And tonight, I want you guys, we're going to listen to a few Latino voters speak for themselves. And then we're going to talk about why the Jerome Crow Negroes on the left, such as Jemele Hill, are always hurling insults at other minorities the moment that they stop voting Democrat, when Black Americans been voting Democrat loyally and consistently for well over 60 years, and you're still at the bottom. But you want to shame Latinos for thinking for themselves? Pot, meat, kettle. Let's talk about it. Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable with April Chapman, as we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm your host, April Chapman, and welcome to today's show. So today we're actually going to discuss what actually happened. What sparked the mess that is all over the internet? Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Okay, she ran for Senate and she lost. Okay, that's the quick story. But normally, when a candidate loses, the people who are either close to her or who are on her side will do an autopsy, and they'll analyze the campaign, and they'll start asking questions like, okay, what went wrong? Where was the message lost? Was our candidate weak? Did voters just simply disagree? But nope, not the Jerome Crow Negroes on the left. They can't do that. Instead, what do? They blame the voters. And in this case, they didn't even blame the blacks. They blamed the Latino voters. And this is why Jemele Hill jumped online and she said a few things that were kind of like really rude and disparaging. And she essentially said that Latino voters were soft targets for misinformation. And I said, yeah, they about to come for you, sis. They coming. Basically, that's translation for you are not voting the way the Democrats want you to vote. And so she then implies that now they're suddenly politically confused. But here's what is so funny about that. Nobody seems to ask a much simpler question. Like, well, what if Latino voters are not confused? They're just not stupid. And not just that, but they disagree with you fundamentally at an ideological level. Because maybe it's a possibility that there's something on the left that the Latinos simply can't accept, and they refuse to submit themselves to the same amount of subjugation and tyranny that they've seen Black folks submit themselves to, because they've seen the results and the outcomes of what's going on in our community, and they don't want to stay at the bottom. They don't want to be at the bottom, and they don't want to stay at the bottom. So before I go any further, we got some clips that we need to react to. And I'm excited because I think it's good that the Latino community speak up for themselves. And we're just going to listen to them. And actually, I think this gentleman is a Black American, but we're definitely going to listen to some Latino influencers and just TikTokers. We're going to listen to them react to Jemele Hill. So take a listen.
Jemele Hill. I know you don't do sports anymore, but I don't know if politics is your lane, because this is not a good look for black folks. Say what you want about Trump. Say what you want about the opposing view, the opposing side. I don't have a problem with that. Do your thing. But now you're insulting the Latinos, the Cubans. This is insane. I'm cool with you having an opinion on another race. I think all of us have opinions on another race. I think we do. But with the state of black people in the United States, I don't think we need to be insulting the intelligence of any other race group right now. Because if Cubans got online and voiced how they feel about black people, we would have a war inside of this country. Just take the L. And what sparked this conversation was Jasmine Crockett losing, and she lost to another Democrat. Why are we blaming conservatives and blaming Latino conservatives when she lost to another Democrat to represent the state? She wasn't even going against a Republican. So this is crazy.
They are very soft targets for misinformation. A lot of Latino and Hispanic communities are, to be frank, especially if you're from Cuba. Cubans hear socialism, communism, and as long as the Republicans use those words to describe democratic policies, they will vote.
So apparently millions of Hispanic voters didn't make a conscious decision because we just so confused, we didn't understand what we were doing. That's pretty fucking insulting and tone deaf considering the state of your community that's been voting lockstep with the Democrat Party since you got the right to vote. I'm sure you don't want me to go down the laundry list of devastating policies that the Democrats have had you voting for that has taken away your family, caused mass incarceration, the lowest level of education. But we're dumb because we understand what communism and socialism is. Newsflash, when we hear those words, it's not a trigger, bitch. It's experience. And in case you didn't know, most Hispanics are conservative because we value family, faith, entrepreneurship, working hard, building something for the next generation. We know exactly what we're voting for. And no, we didn't need anyone telling us how to think. Not in English or Espanol.
Sorry, y'all. I had to give it a twirl because sis was cooking. So here's what I'll say. I want to talk about there's a deeper problem here. First, the first gentleman was absolutely right. Why can't Democrats just take the L? Well, I can answer that for you. Democrats can't take the L because Democrats don't think that there's anything wrong with their party or their policies or their worldview. And when Jemele Hill makes the statement that she did, that when Cubans or Latinos hear the words communism or socialism, all Republicans have to do is say it. And when they hear that, they immediately, when they hear Republicans talk about Democrat policies as those things, that they immediately have a visceral reaction to it. Well, I mean, can we analyze the policies of the Democrat Party and then look at what socialism and communism is? And can we not draw a plumb line straight through to connect the two? I mean, are you retarded? Here's the problem. It's the pro-wokety woke blackety black Jerome Crow Negroes that are confused. I don't understand how you can look at Democrat policies and not see the socialistic government dependent bent that is reeking from the policy platform. All y'all do is talk about free stuff and living off the government and stealing from the rich so that you can give to the poor. Give me health care, give me free education, give me minimum basic income, pay for my child care. I mean, what is it that y'all don't beg for? There is nothing that y'all have not begged the government to provide for you. Y'all whine and cry and beg like a bunch of plantation slaves who have no concept of what it means to function in their freedom. Economically, you don't understand capitalism. You don't even understand how to participate in a capitalistic system. You don't even understand how to take advantage or at least participate in it as a consumer. You can't even do that right. So to lecture Latino voters on how they are subjects to or easy prey for misinformation says just how tone deaf and brain dead you really are about your policy platform over on your side. Because we conservatives know exactly what you guys are offering, and nobody wants it, including the well-informed Latino voter. But here's what I do. I want to talk about the pattern. Whenever minorities vote Democrat, the media will frame the narrative around them as if they're intelligent and informed and politically aware. But the moment minority voters vote Republican, suddenly they're the victims of misinformation. I'm telling you, not only is that propaganda, but it is the soft bigotry of low expectations. Let me explain. You see, the left assumes that minorities are just too fragile and too uninformed and too intellectually incapable to think for themselves. That's why the white liberal has to advocate for you and be your ally and tell you what to think. But here's the part that makes Jemele Hill's argument look absolutely ridiculous. So many Latino voters have personally experienced socialism. Yes, that is a fact. Their families fled, whether it was Cuba or Venezuela or Nicaragua, and they watched the socialism just destroy their country. They remember. And unlike Black people who know what it's like to live under Democrat subjugation and oppression, i.e. the Jim Crow system, they're smart enough not to vote for that again. Huh? Yeah, they watched socialism crush their economy and destroy opportunity. So when they hear American politicians flirting with socialism and offering and promising and giving free stuff, they're like, we smell this immediately and we don't want it. It's rotten to the core. And so while Jemele Hill thinks they're confused, the Latino voters are like, nah, pimpin', we done seen this movie before and we don't want to see it again. And so escaping socialism, this risking everything to come to this country only to have a millionaire commentator sit comfortably here in the United States and tell you that you're too stupid to understand politics. Yeah, the arrogance for me is absolutely breathtaking. The first thing I need to do is I need to play Jemele Hill. I need to play her clip so we can react to her. And then I'll play the clap back. I want you to hear a little bit more of Jemele Hill. In the last clip, you only heard like a little snippet in a segment. This is the broader argument that she was trying to make. Let me let you listen to it.
That's something that it requires a level of sophistication to understand. And one of the main platforms. All right, so those were my comments the other day. And apparently that was not warmly received by some members of the Latino and Hispanic community.
I'm sorry, I didn't start it at the beginning and I thought I clipped it better, but it doesn't even matter. In no context, if you're saying that there's a level of sophistication that's needed for a group of people to understand it, you're basically saying that they lack whatever level of sophistication is needed. You're saying the Hispanic or Latino community lacks that level of sophistication. And this is your typical boule class, Jerome Crow Negro talking point, right? Too bad that they're too blind and too retarded to see the error of their ways. And so we're going to talk about it now. But what you have to understand with the boule class, they're very condescending. The talented tend to believe it's us four and no more. And you need to rely on us to tell you how to think, how to vote, how to be and function in the world, right? And it's so funny because they will advocate for socialism, but then in their personal lives, they live like capitalists. I just want to highlight that. Let me let her finish.
Next thing I know, I'm getting tagged in videos and people accusing me and arguing against points I didn't even make. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to respond. So I wasn't surprised that Breitbart, all people, a not conservative leaning, it is a completely conservative right-wing publication. This is what the headline was after the live that I did on Wednesday. Jemele Hill, Cuban Latino communities are soft targets for misinformation. You know why I said that? And by the way, I'm not excluding Black people from this. Minorities, period, are heavily targeted for mis and disinformation. One, the reason we are is because many of us have a natural distrust of government because of what we have experienced. So,
but the Democrats are advocates for big government, and more importantly than that, your policies want us to subject ourselves to more government overreach by Democrats. I mean, whether it's government involvement in our healthcare, whether it's government involvement in our educational choices, whether it's government involvement by way of high taxes, high regulation, the lack of school choice, and the promotion of government run schools, the government deciding how many Black people you have to hire before it's not enough. And I mean, everything the Democrats advocate for is big government. And it is smart and wise, and a politically astute person should be distrustful of the government. That's why we have a Second Amendment. The Second Amendment really wanted to protect you from takeaway, Sean, even though we can use it for that purpose. The Second Amendment was to arm yourself against the government's tyranny. Tyrannical big government has always been a threat. This is why I am a small, limited government kind of person. This is why I can't be a Democrat. Because I don't need Democrat politicians making every waking decision for me. I don't need them to take money from others and then they determine how they're going to redistribute it. If anything, you got to be some kind of stupid to still be a Democrat in 2026. So if we're going to spout, ad hominem attacks and insults, if anything, you should be embarrassed and ashamed to identify yourselves with the Democrat Party today, because there's no other party that absolutely has more oppressive policies. And then if you're a Democrat voter, you're literally a slave looking for a master, because they don't allow you to function in your freedom. You look to the government to literally take care of you. Y'all are the party of welfareism, matriarchal squalor. It's horrible. Sexual perversion. Do I need to continue? No, but she's going, in true ratchet-tang fashion, she's going to try to defend the indefensible and how she insulted a huge segment of the Democrat voting base, or what used to be. See, notice the argumentation now is, oh Lord, she done upset the Latino voters. Because think about who they're not talking about. Nobody's talking about the Black vote, because the Black vote is insignificant. So now, because the Democrats have opened up the border and let all these Latinos in, now they're pandering to the Hispanics. It's the Hispanic vote. That is the voting bloc that the Democrat Party is attempting to go after, and they can't figure out how to get a foothold in it. And so when she made this statement, this was a death blow. This was a death blow to the Latino vote. But I'm going to let her finish.
It makes sense why you would target minority and marginalized groups, typically on the receiving end of the worst kinds of treatment. And so because of that,
by who?
It makes these groups ripe to be targeted for disinformation. Listen, I think part of the reason we're in the situation that we are is that we assume that people are a lot more sophisticated when it comes to deciphering information than they are.
There goes the insult again. She just insulted you. That's the insult. You're too stupid to look at the Republican Party platform and the policies that Donald Trump is offering, and you're too dumb to compare that to the litany of government welfare dependent policies that the Democrats offer. You're too stupid to distinguish what's truth from error. So it's just misinformation. So question, Jemele, are we lying when we say that the Democrat Party is absolutely the party of the democratic socialists? Is that true or is that untrue? Point to me the propaganda or the disinformation that you believe misrepresents the Democrat Party's position, and we will retract and apologize. I'm just curious to know which one it is. Because is the argument that we're lying on you? Is the argument that y'all don't want to provide free health care? Is the argument that y'all don't want to provide, you don't want to provide school choice because y'all want to control the educational outcomes of everybody? Is it true that y'all are not the party of sexual perversion and it's gay this and trans that? I mean, are you guys not fighting for biological men to be in women's sports and to be in women's spaces? Are we making that up? Is it true that y'all want to tax the rich, and then when the rich disappear, we become the rich because in comparison to everybody that's left, it's the middle class that's the rich, and you want to tax us to give to people who don't add value and don't want to work? Are you not always advocating for more food stamps, more Medicaid, more government dependence, more Section 8, affordable housing? Where have we lied on you, Jemele? Please tell us.
I'm sure you don't want me to go down the laundry list of devastating policies that the Democrats have had you voting for that has taken away your family.
Hold up. Let me stop you right there, sis. Let me stop you right there. Okay. Now, I want you guys to understand something about Black people and the way that we vote. Black people do not vote Democratic because they feel some unusually high natural sense of loyalty to the Democratic Party. We ain't trying to be in the in crowd. We're not trying to gain proximity with nothing. We're just trying to be liberated.
It was at this moment that I knew this girl was stupid. I'm sorry. I know that's not. I'm just being honest. It was at this moment that I realized this girl is dumb as a box of rocks. How do you vote for the party of oppression, secession, and depression and claim that the reason you vote for them is because you view Democrats as the pathway to liberation? How? They don't provide you any sort of liberation as it comes to educational outcomes. You ask them for school choice, but like, listen, Taquayshawn been in a failing school for a really long time. I really need school choice. No, I'm sorry. We can't do that. Now, see, you understand. We can't give you school choice for Taquayshawn, right? Because there are 5 more Taquayshawns on your block. And if we give you school choice, Mrs. Smith, and we allow Taquayshawn to get a better educational opportunity in a better school that's performing better, that's going to actually teach Taquayshawn how to read and how to do math and hold him to a behavioral standard that's normal and descriptive of a healthy, functioning human. If we let you take your Taquayshawn out, what about all the other Taquayshawns? We can't take that money out of the other people in the hood whose kids don't want to learn. You got to sacrifice your Taquayshawn for the other 5 Taquayshawns whose parents don't give a darn about them. Where's the liberation in that? Show me how the Democrats are the party of liberation when they actively give money to and target Black women to convince them that killing their baby is empowerment, but getting married and raising a family with a one flesh partner such as a man is oppression. I'm trying to see the liberation in the reproductive rights that you advocate for. Huh? Maybe it's the liberation from heteronormative nuclear families. Maybe it's the liberation from Black women pair bonding with Black men and staying married together and raising a family. Maybe that's the liberation you speak of. It can't possibly be economic liberation because last time I checked, all y'all want to do is offer Black folks more free stuff. Medicaid, EBT, Section 8. Now we got to add childcare on top of the Obamacare. How has anyone ever been liberated by depending more on the government than less? I've never seen a person liberated because you gave them a fish. But I've absolutely seen a whole lot of people liberated when you give them not just a fish, but you teach them how to fish. Functioning in your freedom requires you to remove the artificial weights that are in the way that prevents you from flourishing in the marketplace and competing. Democrats don't have a concept of that. They've never balanced the budget. All they want to do is increase spending. We're trying to deal with waste, fraud, and abuse, and they are hiding behind the waste, fraud, and abuse because they've been the ones stealing from your communities versus investing in your communities. Where's the liberation that she's talking about? I want her to defend this so I can cook this heifer.
So far, for the last 50, 60 years, maybe 70 at this point, got to do the math. The Democrats have been the pathway. Keyword is pathway, meaning we're using them to get to a goal that we want to achieve.
What's the goal? Because when I examined the past 60 years, the only liberation we've gotten, if you count being able to sit next to the white man on a bus, if that's your flex, if that's your idea of liberation, congratulations. Congratulations. You are the party of low expectations. That if that's liberation to you, you can keep it. I don't even need to ride the bus next to a white person in order for me to feel like I have value, dignity, or respect. I can tell you what it did do. It liberated us from the need to try. Because once we got the right to integrate and sit next to white people, where did all the black bus lines go? You were liberated. But you ain't want to ride your bus no more because somebody told you that the white man's bus was better. And even though that white man didn't want to sit next to you or invite you to say, hey, we're brothers, you come sit next to me, you felt better about yourself because as a stalker or a psychopathic nut job, you deboed your way in and demanded to sit next to the white man when he done already told you, listen, why you want to be somewhere where you're not wanted? So her argument is that the Democrat Party was the pathway to liberation. How's that working for you? Because the black family has gone from 2-parent intact homes to almost an 80% out of wedlock rate. How's that for your liberation? Most of our men are homosexual deviants, saucy sodomites who are weak and effeminate because they haven't had the presence of a father in the home. And so now we've got, by now, 4 generations of bastards raising bastards. I guess that is liberation. If that's the pathway to liberation, then you can keep it because I don't want it. Our incomes are stagnant. We consume the most and innovate the least. But we can play some basketball, though. We sure know how to toss a football and twerk. I guess that's, sexual liberation, maybe. You know, our women parade themselves and talk about drugging men for money and they get to twerk on stage at political rallies. Guess that's the liberation she's speaking of. I don't know.
Because did you know before that, a lot of black people voted Republican.
Now, they did, not a lot. Here's the inconvenient truth. That's not true. When black people got the right to vote, you had some black people that voted Republican, but due to Stockholm Syndrome, you had black emancipated slaves who voted for the same Confederates and masters who formerly enslaved them. They voted them back in office again. They did. They still do it today. I told you. Democrat politicians are masters looking for slaves, and Democrat voters are slaves looking for masters. They don't tell you that the Republican Party were the initial authors of every single piece of civil rights legislation up until the 64 Civil Rights Acts, which in my opinion did more harm than good. The previous acts made sense. It was removing the artificial weights and the barriers. This one, the one that the Democrats authored so that they could get black folks voting Democrat in perpetuity like they currently do, yeah. Government overreach and included, I mean, this is how all of the sexual perversion kind of slid its way in and piggybacked onto the civil rights struggles. I don't know why she brought that up. I don't know why Black Democrats take pride in identifying with the party of their oppressor. It demonstrates that they're the ignorant ones. It's the talented 10th Jerome Crow Negroes who think that they are intellectually superior, to us common American Negroes down here. But they're the ones that are not only ignorant of history, but they're the ones that actually vote for their own oppression, and they're too blind to even realize it. Or maybe they do know it. Maybe it's just part of the psyop. I don't know.
Robinson was a Republican. Frederick Douglass was a Republican. The reason we did is because at the time, they represented the pathway for us to get to where we want to get. That's all we see is a pathway.
They still do. They still do. There's not a policy on the right that is anti-human flourishing and that oppresses Americans. But every single policy from the Democrat Party is absolutely economic oppressive, socially oppressive, religiously oppressive, ideologically oppressive, educationally oppressive. It's just oppression. It is control and government tyranny of the highest order. But she's a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat because she's stupid.
Who is providing the pathway for us to get the closest to our damn goal?
What's the goal?
Now you want to talk about policy?
Yes.
Baby girl. Your people wouldn't even be here if not for us.
This is, she digging herself a hole. Your people wouldn't even be here without us. This chick is always crying racism and oppression and the white man this and the white man that. She wouldn't know how to function in her freedom if she had somebody lead her by the hand and show her how to do it. But she wants to get on the Latino voter, talk about y'all wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for us. So you think they owe you some sort of gratitude? Who's the us? First of all, you still claim to be oppressed. So it's not a flex that the Latino can come here and in one generation pull themselves up out of poverty, but you've been here since the inception of this country and you still at the bottom. If anything, you need to be paying attention to what the Latino has done and say, we need to rinse and repeat and be a little bit more like them. We need to do what the Latino voter is doing and staying true to God and family values and capitalism and do what they're doing. And maybe, just maybe we'll improve our station in life. I'm sorry. There's nothing that Black America overwhelmingly in the past 60 years has accomplished that someone else would want to emulate. And you have the nerve to insult Latino voters like this? Read the room, sis. Read the room. You need to bow out while you ahead because this about to go left.
And I don't say that to be arrogant, and I'm not saying that trying to play the oppression Olympics. But the reason I am saying that, not all you people, because there's some variations in history. The reason I'm saying this is because one of the things that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 did, that act that was fought by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Black civil rights leaders of the era. who put their blood, spilled their blood.
No, they ain't spilled their blood. They got their heads beat upside. They got beat upside the head and exhibited the epitome of black male cowardice by being an agitator, right? And a provocateur, demanding to be put themselves into places and spaces that they were not welcome in. Instead of focusing and being worried about themselves and building their own, they used coercion and extortion to get what they wanted. And we've been an abject mess ever since. This is not a flex. Talking about the civil rights leaders of the 1960s who spilled their blood. They didn't fight in a war. They're not like the 54th Massachusetts. They're not like the 1st Rhode Island Regiment from the Revolutionary War who actually fought the oppressor and said, I'll die before I be a slave, and who fought for the independence of this country. I wish you would compare the civil rights leaders who walked across a bridge knowing they didn't have a permit to provoke a racist sheriff who told you if you march and you don't break this up, we're gonna have to do crowd control. And then for the optics, they were like, oh my God, they beat up on the blacks. That's your hero. A whoremongering, jellyback coward. That's your hero. This is not a flex. This is not the flex you thought it was, Jemele Hill. I know where she's going with how they inserted within civil rights, removing the quotas so that individuals could come here. This is the flex. Those Latinos, those Cubans, the Nicaraguans, and all of the other Hispanics who came here during that time, you know what they did? In one generation, they built businesses, they worked hard, and they lifted themselves up out of poverty without government dependence. What's your excuse? Because you've been here and you've not managed to figure out how to function in your freedom, but they have. So you might claim, if it wasn't for us, y'all wouldn't be here. Yeah, well, they saw that opportunity and they used that as an opportunity and a stepping stone to do better, while all you can do is sit and bloviate on the internet about, well, if it weren't for us, you would be here. But still at the bottom, like, your kids can't read. Your kids can't read. Your women are unmarried. The women kill their babies. And most of our men who are not in prison are homosexuals or want to dress like a woman. I mean, we down bad, sis. We are down bad. This is not the flex you thought it was. You owe these people an apology, but you're too much of an orangutan, and you're too arrogant, and you're too prideful to see the retardation that you are spewing out on this here internet. It's ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Listen, at the end of the day, this is bigger than the Latino voters. I am so glad that Hispanics overwhelmingly are drifting away from the Democrat Party. And the reason why, because it's not hard to see. Latino families value faith and family and entrepreneurship. They work hard. They actually have a sense of community. But what does modern Democrat Party policies offer them? Something they don't want. They don't want to be government dependent. They don't want this gender ideology. Many of them have a sense of faith. Either they're Catholic or they're Christians. The policies that crush small businesses, they see it and they don't want that. Because many of them like, look, if I could just start a mango cart and sell mangoes to feed my family, I will do that. But I can't do that under Democrat leadership. Why? Because the mango cart got to be like this and it's got to have this regulation and then, the Green New Deal and the energy and stuff, we got to, all it does is crush entrepreneurial spirit. So Latino voters are starting to ask the very simple question, why would we vote for a party that mocks our values? They're the ones that are smart and then can see how it's incompatible to vote Democrat when their values don't match. You're the dumb ones in the room, because the blacks are like, well, we know what they stand for, but you know, they for the people. So, I mean, even though every policy that they promote is anti-human flourishing and ain't gonna help us win, we gonna vote for them anyway. I'm not even mad that the Latinos hit back with some facts and were shaming black people for having the nerve to have a problem with them. They are voting differently, and it makes sense. And instead of them being respected, Democrats like Jemele Hill are mad because the power grip of the bootleg class, they're losing their power. They are absolutely losing their power. And so they figure, well, we'll just start to insult the voters. Yeah, well, how's that working out for you? It's not. And so there's more I could say about this. It is, but she made a fatal mistake, and she said the quiet part out loud. She said, the Democrat Party believes, this is what she essentially said. I'm paraphrasing. Actually, no. It's more of the conclusion that I draw from her words. Not that she was speaking on behalf of the DNC, but this is how they think. Minority voters belong to them. They look at minority voters as their electoral serfs. I've been saying it. But these Latino voters are brave, because for them, freedom means something very different. It means, look, we got a right to disagree, but I don't need your permission to think for myself and to vote my conscience. And now that we're seeing minorities exercise their freedom, the left is panicking. So now they want to, castigate them. Didn't I teach y'all about Jerome Crow? Have you seen my reel on Jerome Crow? Now all of a sudden, Latino voters are misinformed and, they just confused and ignorant, and they've been manipulated by the right. No, that ain't it. They're simply thinking for themselves, and y'all ain't used to that. Okay, y'all used to a bottle of liquor and a pork chop sandwich and souls to the polls and whatever pulpit pimp that's hot from the most recent atrocious sermon. You'll do whatever he tell you to do. And Latinos like, yeah, we're not doing that. They're thinking for themselves, and that is just something. With the plantation politics from the Democrat Party, they cannot tolerate that. So I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? I want you to guys leave me a comment down below. Do you think that Jemele Hill was absolutely insulting? Or is she just misunderstood? Her is just confused, right? Whatever it is that you guys think, leave me your comments down below. Until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.